Hi, Lee Forsyth here from the Headwaters Science Center in Bemidji, Minnesota, and today I am not reading to, oh, it's tough when your head goes, Orion. I'm not reading to Orion. Now if you go, wait a minute, this is Wednesday, you always read to Orion. Well, today I'm not reading to Orion because I'm reading a book about a large carnivore. Orion does not like books about large carnivores. Well, not that large a carnivore. This is Oswald, and Oswald is a carnivore. That means that he would like to eat, well, even rabbits. So Orion said, I don't want you to read to me today because you're reading books about owls and you're reading to an owl, and that's highly appropriate. So all three books today, there are three books, they're all three about owls. And we do have a live audience, and while I'm not sure of a mom's name, I do know Harper's name because Harper was here this morning and she went, okay, I'll come back this afternoon. So we're overjoyed that Harper is back with us. Three books. Harper, it's up to you. If you don't want to stay for all three, I fully understand. Oswald, if you don't want to stay for all three, well, please do. I'll try my very best to make this book so interesting. Now this one is Wow, Said the Owl. Wow, Said the Owl. And there is a part in the story, if you don't mind, Oswald, you could fill it. Because there is an owl sound that's going to be made. It would be way better if you made it. Here it is. At night, when we are feeling tired and ready for bed, owls are just waking up. That would be true. Owls are nocturnal. They're getting up about the time we go to bed. Owls live in a nighttime world. They have eyes that can see in the dark. Well, not quite see in the dark. It was probably a good way to say it in this children's story. That's probably true. Owls just have a whole lot better vision for seeing in the dark because they take what little light there is. And they see really well. But this little curious owl was always curious. And so, instead of staying awake all night, as little owls are supposed to do, she took a long nap and then woke up right about the time she was supposed to be going to bed. That would be woke up just before dawn. So there's the owl. Eyes are shut, beak is shut, and the owl's going, whoop, there's the eyes open. Just like yours. Eyes are open. Do you want to see it? Right there. That's you. That's the right color too. Nicely done there, whoever the illustrator is. Wow, said the owl. She couldn't believe her eyes. The sky was a warm and wonderful pink. Are skies ever pink? Well, sure they are. Yeah, we had a pink sky about last Friday morning. Usually if it's a pink sky, it's probably going to rain. That's just the way it is. At least there's moisture in the air. And so, wow, said the owl, as the yellow sun shone through the morning mist. Yellow, nice sound, very good, Oswald. Wow, said the owl, a white fluffy cloud floated across a very bright blue sky, saying that the owl could recognize blue. Wow, said the owl, when she saw that the leaves on the trees were green. Green leaves. Oh, how are you feeling about this, Oswald? I shouldn't have probably asked. You now know that Angie is a part of today's show. And Oswald just did an exit right. I think we'll keep going even though we're highly distracted. Wow, said the owl as the pretty red butterflies flew by. Just want you to know Angie warned me about that whole thing that Oswald may all of a sudden want to leave. She watched them land on the bright orange flowers, which opened up in the warm sunshine. Up in the sky, the clouds turned gray and it started to rain, but the sun was still shining. Wait a minute, let me understand this. There was gray clouds that produced rain, but the sun was still shining. Can you guess what's on the next page? Okay, I'll give you a clue. It involves colors. Any guesses? Any guesses? How about you guys out there in virtual land? Any guesses? This is a good time to fill in this gap with, I know what will be on the next page. Oh, there it is. Yes, you almost always wear those. Yep, there it is. Wow, said the owl as the rainbow of red and orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet filled the sky. I got something there in the back of my hair.
He just flapped his wings a bit.
Yeah, thanks.
Tossing your hair.
I was feeling a little warm. The little owl sat happily in her tree and watched as the sun went down. And the moon came up. The daytime is full of beautiful colors, she thought. Dot, dot, dot. It's kind of fun when authors do dot, dot, dot. Dot. But wow, said the owl, the nighttime stars are the most beautiful of all. Too excited to sleep, the little owl stayed awake all night long, just as owls are supposed to do. And then, can you guess it? You stayed up all night long? All these wonderful colors can be found in this book. Look through the pages and see if you can find them. That's our first story. All done. All right, so Angie and I had a little conversation. That is a fictional story. It was all made up. Can you recognize it's all made up? Sure you can. Is it okay in a book if it's meant to be made up, if you say some things that aren't true? Well, probably. Everybody. Whether or not owls can actually see colors is highly suspect that they can. They have great eyes for seeing, but not such great eyes for seeing colors. We have all kinds of things called cones in our eyes, lots and lots and lots of cones. It lets us see colors. Owls have almost no cones in comparison to their rods. Rods are the things you use to see. So that book could be incorrect in that owls can't actually see colors. What do you think, Oswald? I'll tell you what, this is the book where I do need for you to pipe in. We do need an owl sound. Oh, but, all right, this is Good Night Owl. It's by Pat Hutchins, great author, right here. You went to the Bemidji Library and say, could I take all your Pat Hutchins books home today? You'd be taking home a collection of really good books. Good Night Owl. As you might have guessed, this is another owl that can't get to sleep during the day. Owl tried to sleep. Owl tried to sleep. Ooh, nice reading. Wasn't that good reading? Wow, he just like... The bees buzzed, buzz, buzz, and the owl tried to sleep. The squirrel cracked nuts, crunch, 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 and the owl tried to sleep. The crows croaked, caw, 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 and the owl tried to sleep. The woodpecker pecked, rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat, and the owl tried to sleep.
I wonder if Oswald ever feels this way at the Science Center.
Yeah, I bet. The starlings chittered, twit, 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 and the owl tried to sleep. We should probably insert Oswald. The jays screamed, caw, 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 and the owl tried to sleep. That was kind of the same as my crow imitation. I'll work on that. The cuckoo called, cuckoo, cuckoo, and the owl tried to sleep. The robin peeped, peep, 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 and the owl tried to sleep. The sparrows chirped, chirp, 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 and the owl tried to sleep. The doves cooed, coo, coo, and the owl tried to sleep. And there are all those sounds all over again, and the owl couldn't sleep. Good timing. Good timing. You were a little early, but... And the darkness fell, and the moon came up, and there wasn't a single sound. So the owl said... Very good.
Well, sometimes he'll hoot back.
It's actually screech, screech, screech. What owl would screech?
There's a screech owl.
Yeah, I'm thinking they weren't thinking Oswald. By the way, Oswald, who's being held by Angie, Oswald is a great horned owl. So I'm thinking screeching isn't something that Oswald would do anyway. Okay, our last story for today. Our last story does have the owl be the villain for a short period of time because the main character is a mouse, and the mouse's name is Stuart Little. Would it make sense that an owl would want to kill a mouse? Most definitely. Not for the reason that appears in this book, because the owl does threaten the mouse for his very life, but not so that he can eat it. So here we go. Stuart Little. Stuart at the library. By the way, I got all these books at the Bemidji Library. I promised to get them back today, so if you wanted to go and say, what was that book about Stuart Little? Late one afternoon, Stuart Little went to the library. Do you have any books for somebody like me? Said Stuart Little. He asked the librarian. All right, so the mouse went to the library. How about Mice Are Nice? She said. It's on the 3rd floor. Thanks, said Stuart. Is that a stuffed owl? No, no, no. This is Bookworm. Bookworm is the library owl. We let him live here because he loves books so much, said the librarian. Now, is it likely that there would be a live owl at the library? Well, first of all, Angie would say, well, only if they have a permit.
Exactly.
You cannot have an owl in your home. You cannot have an owl in a library. You can't have an owl in a science center unless you have an owl permit. And I'm thinking with this owl sitting there on a perch, they're probably not meeting the codes that they would need in order to be able to have an owl. So just so you know, an owl in your home is a bad idea. An owl in a library? Well, an owl in a science center. Why don't you come and see us? You can ask Angie why having Oswald here is a good idea. Bookworm opened one eye. Kind of like the name though. Bookworm opened one eye and stared at Stuart. Owls and I don't usually get along, said Stuart. Would that be a true statement? Quite definitely. Yes, a mouse and an owl are not going to get along. Don't worry, said the librarian. He sleeps during library hours. Well, thanks for the help, said Stuart. Stuart found the book. I'll just read for a little bit, said Stuart. So he began to read it. And soon he was lost in the story. Wait a minute. What do you mean lost in the story? What do you mean you're lost in the story? Like a page fell on top of him and now he couldn't get out of the book? No, no, no. He was lost in the story. And he was so lost he fell asleep. Something woke Stuart up. I must have fallen asleep, he said. I wonder if it's past closing time. Indeed you have, said a voice like this. Indeed you have, said the voice. Bookworm, is that you? Stuart asked. The big owl flew down out of the shadows. It is I, said the owl. Oh dear, Stuart said, and he began to back away. Never fear, said Bookworm. I've already had my dinner.
That owl doing on the book.
Yes, that's an owl in the book. Besides, I want to read my books, not chase mice. Oh, very interesting. The owl can read. Oh, well, at least the owl says he can read. I love to read too, said Stuart. What's your favorite book? Oh, there are so many, said Bookworm. Who can pick just one? Get it? Who can pick just one? Said the owl. Pick a few then, said Stuart. Yes, well, Bookworm pointed to the closest book on the shelf. I'm quite fond of this one, he said. This book? Lawn Care for Dummies is the one that's your favorite book? That was a question. Your favorite book is Lawn Care for Dummies? Is that the title? Said Bookworm. Can't you read? Said Stuart. Now, I just want you to know, I try to read the very best I can, thinking about how the character would say that, and I'm not a terrifically sarcastic person. Well, maybe I am. But I'm thinking that at this particular moment, it might have been sarcastic. It at least might have had a little bit of meanness in it. Can't you read it? Said Stuart. That might have been it. Well, no, said Bookworm. And no one else can find out. I'm afraid I'm going to have to eat you now, after all. That was probably said in a much more stern voice, maybe a real owl, I'm angry at you voice. It could have been. I'm thinking maybe if I'd have used my really angry voice, then Harper might have been. Wait a minute, I thought this was a friendly story time. Harper's in our audience. Yes, that's Harper right there. Bookworm dived for Stuart. Stuart ran. Right? The owl's after Stuart. Yeah, at this point you're the villain in the story. Well, I think you're the villain. Bookworm chased Stuart down the hall, across the corner, down the stairs. Stuart could not escape. Maybe the story's too scary. We do have Stuart in peril. Want to go on? What do you think, Oswald? Bookworm landed on top of him. Please, Bookworm, please let me go. I am sorry, my bookish friend. My secret must end with you. Wait, said Stuart. You said you weren't hungry. I'm not, said Bookworm. But I'm going to be sent away if I can't read and I work in a library. If the librarian were to find out that I can't read, I am the library owl after all. See what he's worried about? I suppose in a sense he'd be fired. I suppose. I promise, I won't tell anybody. I promise, I promise, I promise, said Stuart. Maybe I can help you. I don't need any help from any old little mouse, said Bookworm. Now, you'd better go. Shoo, shoo. Oh, you're letting him go. Shoo, shoo. That's nice. We have a nice ending to the story. Letting him... Wait, we're not done with the story. Soon Stuart went back to the library. Bookworm opened one eye and asked, "What are you doing here?" It was probably more like this. What are you doing here? It'd have to rhyme with who, right? I want to help you read, said Stuart. Well, don't bother me, said Bookworm. Let me sleep. When you wake up, said Stuart, here are some other books you might like. Owls and Mice Can Be Friends. That's one of the books. It's right there. Owls and Mice Can Be Friends. It's the name of the book. I'm thinking, okay, well. Let me see those, said Bookworm. What is this one about? It's about a very smart little owl who finds out it's never too late to learn how to read. What if you insist, said the Bookworm. Why don't you start? You bet, said Stuart. And so the two new friends began to read together. Oh, that's so nice of you. Oswald, what a nice ending of the story. You're going to learn how to read. Very nice. We do this every single Wednesday. We do it at 3:30, and sometimes we do 3 books, and sometimes we do more than 3, and all those kinds of things. Today is the first time I've ever read to Oswald. You were a wonderful listener, Oswald. I can see you really like the books about owls. That was a wonderful thing. If you're wondering about our other shows, we do shows every single day. They're always at 3:30. From 9:30 to 5 o'clock is when we're open on Mondays through Saturday, and on Sundays we open up right after lunch, so it's from 1 to 5. Okay? Thank you very much. Did you want to say goodbye? Oh, kind of waving goodbye. Yeah. Okay.